Reading for Wildlife. Written and illustrated by Zella, a project by Zella and friends. An elephant for breakfast.
Chapter 5. Uncle Cosmo. After breakfast, Mother insisted that they help clear all the breakfast plates and do the dishes. As Mother was saying goodbye to Father, the children sneaked a large carving knife out of the kitchen to cut the chocolate. It was hard to carve the chunks of chocolate off the big block. Tom suggested that they try the hammer to speed things up, but Freddie had a better idea. He felt a little thrill of excitement as he leaned forward. He licked the log. The intense richness of the cocoa hit his taste buds like a steam train. With the parents out of the room and following Freddie's lead, all 5 faces were stuck to the chocolate log. Rose was licking the side. Tom found a corner to suck and was clamped to that corner. Johnny was trying to bite it, and Bella was gouging out small chips of chocolate with her teeth and fingernails, which left small freckles and pockmarks over the surface of the chocolate. But all too soon, Mother returned with her cup of tea. She shouted, "Zut alors! Stop this minute! Don't you dare!" They all drew back, looking both guilty and thrilled at the same time. Freddie found the knife. As they began again, slowly breaking off a large number of uneven lumps, they gobbled huge chunks. They noticed it made their cheeks bulge in odd but very satisfying shapes. The children slipped in a few pieces into their pockets. It was not as sweet as normal chocolate, but it was utterly delicious. For the first time that day, silence reigned at Wisteria House as the cousins tucked into the brown gold. A little later, when the rain had eased, the children put on their jackets and went out into the garden to play on a rope swing that Uncle Cosmo had constructed 3 years ago beneath the old walnut tree. They spoke about him and the great chocolate treasure. "Uncle Cosmo is the best," said Freddie. "I agree," said Tom. "He is the finest uncle in all the world. How kind to send us what we always wanted." "I wish he was still here to tell us stories of Africa and to enjoy this chocolate with us," said Bella. "Uncle Cosmo tells the most amazing stories and makes the best animal noises," she added, trying to imitate his grand hand-flapping gestures and strange animal sounds. "I could listen to him for hours," declared Rose. "I would love to see his shiny bald head again," said Tom, with his usual dry wit. This made everyone laugh and feel better. Uncle Cosmo had a perfectly round head that shone as if it were polished each morning. "It feels like the longest time since we saw Uncle Cosmo," said Rose. "Not including photos," Tom added sagely. They often received a bundle of photos of wild animals, odd insects, and only occasionally the beaming face of Uncle Cosmo. "He always looks so happy. It's as if he's found the best place in the world. A place where he belongs," said Johnny wisely. None of the children had been to Africa, although their parents had promised they would go one day. Uncle Cosmo only visited them occasionally. When he came, he was laden with gifts and wild stories of animals. The children yearned to go to Africa. They particularly loved the stories of Uncle Cosmo's farm. He shared his house with a parrot called Wellington, and, as his brothers joked, an ark full of other animals. "Perhaps it's time we went to visit him," said Johnny. "We could finally meet Wellington. Let's see if that bird can really talk." "If Uncle Cosmo is ever home long enough," said Bella. "He is always away from his farm and seldom at his factory." The family wondered how he produced anything there, as he seemed to spend most of his time exploring the savannah. "Let's write a thank you letter to Uncle Cosmo," suggested Tom, and they all went to find a pen and paper. They enjoyed writing letters. They wrote because Uncle Cosmo was hopeless at answering the phone or replying to emails. But he was very good at writing letters or postcards in response. Of course, the children all started their letters with "thank you." But each child had different tales to share with him. He made each one of them feel like his favourite niece or nephew, even though all 5 of them could not possibly be his favourite. Once the letters were written, the children asked Mother if they could go and post them to Uncle Cosmo. She said yes, and told them to pick up some sausages and fresh vegetables for dinner. When they arrived home again, Mother asked them to help cook dinner and invited Johnny and Bella to join them. Rose peeled potatoes, Freddie fried the sausages, Tom trimmed the ends of the beans and broke the broccoli into little trees, while Johnny washed and sliced carrots. Bella skinned the onions and fried them. When Johnny had finished slicing the carrots, he helped Rose to peel the potatoes. These always took the longest to prepare. Later, after they were cooked, he and Rose would take turns mashing them. It was the best job, using the potato masher and then creaming it all together with butter, milk, salt and pepper. It was hard to do the quick little circles with a fork as Father had shown them, without their arms hurting. Father would wax lyrical over dinner about the mashed potato, refusing to believe that any of the children had prepared it. They loved the praise, and even more the pretense that they were still too young to make such lovely food. "Shall we make dessert?" asked Tom. The others heartily agreed. They all helped to make his famous banana ice cream, a recipe that he had invented when he was only 8 years old. 1 banana per person, a good dollop of cocoa, and a little milk. Everyone loved it, and Tom thought it was the best ice cream in the world. "Let's add some chocolate chunks," suggested Johnny. Bella flung some chocolate into the mixture, which they then spooned into ice cream cones and put in the freezer. Once the ice cream was properly frozen, Tom melted a huge pot of chocolate as a special treat, and then poured it into a large bowl. The children carefully dipped the ice creams in the chocolate and put them back in the freezer. And then Rose had an idea. She looked at Freddie and then giggled. Rose put her finger into the bowl and licked the warm chocolate. Then Johnny and Bella did the same. But Freddie, who went next, put his whole hand into the bowl and then started licking his hand, finger by finger. Tom joined them, and not to be outdone, stuck his whole head in the bowl. Everyone laughed. He was so absorbed by the glorious smell and taste you only get when you are head first in a bowl of chocolate that he did not hear the footsteps of his mother. "Quoi!" Mother squawked sharply. "Where are your manners? Tom and Freddie, that is not civilized. Freddie, go and wash your hands. And Tom, go upstairs now and take a good hard look at yourself and clean up your act. That chocolate is everywhere." Tom was covered. There was chocolate on his chin, round his lips, and stuck to his shaggy red locks of hair. Later, at dinner, Tom said to Father, "Tell us the story about the hippopotamus." They all loved hearing about Uncle Cosmo, Father, and Uncle Crispin's childhood in Tanzania and Kenya. Their favourite story involved their grandfather trying to take a photograph of a hippopotamus. The children's grandfather was a tall, lean Scotsman. "Well, the only red thing in view was grandfather's flaming hair," said Father. Father, Tom and Rose had all inherited his red hair. He had set up his tripod and camera carefully beside the watering hole. We sat in the jeep watching. The hippopotamus was in the water, mostly submerged. Not much of a picture, really. The hippopotamus did nothing, as hippos do. We waited and waited. It was hot and must have been hotter in the sun. Finally, your grandfather was so tired of waiting that he started to wave his hands. He hoped the hippopotamus would move or do something interesting, at least more interesting than being mostly submerged in water. Again, nothing. Now, being quite a good cricketer, he had a blinding flash of inspiration. He picked up a clod of earth and threw it at the hippopotamus. He waved his hands again and peered through the lens. What a delight. The hippopotamus was now moving. Click, click, click. The hippopotamus left the pool of water in an awkward slow motion amble and then started to run. It ran fast and faster. Your grandfather was photographing like a madman, but the hippopotamus was running towards him. Suddenly, he grasped the seriousness of the situation. He turned and fled towards the jeep. We had never seen him move so quickly. He did not even have time to collect his camera and tripod. It was not clear if he would outrun the hippopotamus, as they're fairly fast creatures once they get going. The hippopotamus smashed straight through the tripod and camera and was charging towards the jeep. Our driver had turned the engine on already. As he leapt in, the driver flattened the accelerator to the floor. Then we drove like mad to escape the furious hippopotamus. Father told several more stories, and even though the children begged for more, the hour was late, and he said it was time for bed. Johnny and Bella had to go home too. But before they did, they needed to decide who would look after the parcel. Uncle Cosmo sent it here, said Rose. But I think it's only fair if we split it, suggested Tom. That's boring, said Freddie with a cheeky grin. Yes, agreed Bella. Let's toss a coin to decide who is the guardian of this brown gold. So, do you want to split it or toss for it? Father asked. Toss for it, they all cried. Best of three then, said Father. Bella won the first toss, Rose the second, and Johnny the third. Looks as if we need to take it to your house, Father said, looking at Johnny and Bella. He helped the children put the box back on the skateboard, and they rolled it to the pink house at 1 Paradise Road. When the children said goodnight, they agreed that they would meet at Johnny and Bella's house the next morning, and, if it was fine, perhaps play some tennis or go swimming. They were tired, but felt excited about the prospect of another day of summer holidays.
With enormous thanks to Patrick Aryee. Here is how you can help. Share the story. Adopt an animal from afar. Visit when you can. Educate yourself. Donate to a conservation charity. To find out more about Reading for Wildlife, visit zellahunter.com or at Lady Zella Books, or follow the Reading for Wildlife YouTube channel.